If you've ever walked through London, or honestly, any postcard rack featuring the UK, you've definitely seen them. Those bright red telephone boxes that almost look like they were designed specifically for tourists to pose with. Even if you've never used one, they're so iconic that the moment you see that shade of red, your brain instantly thinks Britain. But have you ever wondered why they're red? Of all the colors the designers could have picked, why go with a bold, attention-grabbing shade instead of something more subtle or neutral? Today we're diving into the surprisingly thoughtful and symbolic story behind this famous piece of British street furniture. Right here, on History of Simple Things. The story of the red phone box starts long before tourists were snapping photos of them. Back in the 1920s, public telephones were becoming more common, but the UK still didn't have a consistent or recognizable design for phone kiosks. Different towns used different models, many of which were dull, boxy, and pretty uninspiring to look at. To standardize the system, the General Post Office, the government department that handled mail and telephone services, launched a design competition. Their goal wasn't just functionality. They wanted something that represented British identity, something elegant and sturdy enough to endure decades of rain, fog, and city pollution. Among multiple proposals, the winning design came from Sir Giles Gilbert Scott, the same mind behind the iconic Battersea Power Station and Liverpool Cathedral. His kiosk, known as the K2, set the template for what would later become the classic red telephone box. So why did the world end up with red phone boxes rather than, say, black, blue, or green? The simplest answer is visibility. Britain's weather is famously gray, often cloudy, and sometimes foggy to the point where even a building right across the street looks faded. A red structure naturally stands out through mist and rain. But beyond practicality, color psychology played a role too. Red has historically been associated with importance and urgency. It catches your eye immediately. The General Post Office was already using red for post boxes, which meant choosing red for telephone kiosks created a visual connection. Both objects belong to the same national service. That consistency wasn't just branding. It helped people instantly identify public communication points no matter where they were. Red wasn't just a color, it was a signal. Another layer behind the red color choice is national identity. The UK already had a strong tradition of using bold red for symbols of public service. The British pillar box had been red since the 1870s. Red buses were becoming an urban staple, and post office signage often relied on hints of red. By the time the telephone box entered the picture, the color had become almost patriotic, something distinctly British. It represented dependability, government service, and shared civic spaces. Making the phone boxes red connected them both visually and culturally to the rest of Britain's public infrastructure. Interestingly, while we look back at red phone boxes with nostalgia today, the color wasn't universally loved at first. Some local councils complained that the bright red kiosks clashed with historical buildings, especially in quiet villages or heritage sites. They argued that the color was too loud, too modern, and too distracting from the architecture around it. In response, a few areas were allowed to repaint their kiosks in more muted tones – green, gray, even cream. But these were rare exceptions. The majority of the country embraced red as the standard, and the boxes soon became part of the everyday landscape. It's funny to think that something so beloved today was once considered an eyesore by some. As technology evolved and phone usage increased, new versions of Scott's design were introduced, each slightly tweaked but still unmistakably recognizable. The K6 model, the one most people picture when they think Red Phone Box, spread across the country in the 1930s for King George V's Silver Jubilee. These kiosks weren't just practical, they became landmarks in their own right. People used them as meeting points, emergency lifelines, or just a place to shelter from the rain for a few minutes. Their unique design and bright red color made them easy to spot from a distance, even in crowded streets and busy squares. Even though most of us carry smartphones now and public payphones have become more of a nostalgic decoration than a necessity, the red telephone box has survived by reinventing itself. Many have been repurposed into tiny libraries, art installations, micro-cafes, defibrillator stations, or even Wi-Fi hotspots. And even when they serve no practical purpose at all, they remain preserved as cultural icons. The reason they've lasted this long is in part because of that bold red color. It's hard to ignore, hard to forget, and deeply woven into how the world imagines the UK. If they had been gray or brown, they might have faded into history with barely a mention. So, why are UK telephone boxes red? The answer is a blend of practicality, design philosophy, and national identity. The color made them easy to spot in gloomy weather. It matched the post office's established branding, and it reflected a long tradition of red being used for important public services. Over time, that color became inseparable from British culture itself. These kiosks weren't just communication booths. They became little red ambassadors of the UK, standing proudly on corners and town squares, reminding everyone of a time when making a call meant stepping into a bright red box. Thank you for watching. If you have suggestions for our next video, feel free to share them in the comments below. We'll be sure to give you an acknowledgement for your contribution. If you enjoyed this video, please check out our other bingeable channels. Thank you for joining us on this journey through the history of simple things. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay tuned for more stories woven through the smallest details.